Hello, good morning, and welcome to Ben Shatliff on Sunday. Today it is Sunday, November 20th, 2022. Hoping that everybody is well on what has been another dramatic week in world events. We'll be looking at the main news stories in a few moments, and then I'll be going through some of the big events that have been going on this week. And I've also brought my father on this week, who's going to be talking about a big event that he's organising, which is taking place on Friday, December 9th, but also the run up to that is going on as we speak. Before that, though, let's just take a little bit of religious reflection. Today in the Catholic Church, it is the Feast of Solemnity, Christ the King, which brings an end to the calendar year in the church year, and then we'll go to year A as of next week, which is the first weekend in Advent. Luke's retelling of the passion and death of Jesus has several unique features. He shows Jesus speaking warmly to the disciples at the Last Supper. You are those who have stood by me in my trials, and I confer on you a kingdom. He also speaks of Peter's future role. He, of course, was the first pope. When once you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. Furthermore, Luke has little interest in the disciples' abandonment and states that all his acquaintances who had followed him from Galilee witnessed Jesus' death. During the journey to Calvary, he records the women of Jerusalem weeping for him and Jesus' prayer to the Father for those who will crucify him. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. As with the above examples, Jesus' encounter with the good thief is only recorded in Luke's Gospel. Genius storyteller that he's always interested in showing how Jesus reaches out to the lost, especially sinners. Jesus' promise to the good thief is something of a climax. It's Jesus' last act of kindness before he comments his spirits to the Father. Today you will be with me in paradise. If you've not already attended Mass today, which is going on at various different times, of course you can watch it online from Church TV and different services, different churches around the country and around the world. Next week on that feature on Shatliff on Sunday, as it is Advent, we'll be looking at what it says for Walk With Me with Advent Reflection. The headlines on this Sunday morning: You're playing with fire, warning as Ukraine nuclear power plant has been damaged by shelling. Win for our world, countries agree fund for climate hit poor countries as COP27 either ends or is about to come to an end. 5 have been killed and 18 injured in a US nightclub which has been classed as a hate attack. And FIFA and Qatar are desperately hoping that when the football starts, that anything else will be, and I'm going to be very careful here not to say the word forgotten, but they're hoping that once the football starts, that the criticism will come to an end. And the US has deployed bombers in response to North Korea missile tests. Right, okay, we're going to speak to you in just a few moments. I can't not go on without mentioning the events which have gone on this week. And of course, what happened when 2 people were killed when a missile went over the Polish border on Tuesday evening. My own personal view on this, and please be aware these views are mine, not anybody else that might be sat next to me or the people that might be watching, so I just want to make that clear. My own personal view, I think our own Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, got it right when he responded to what happened on Tuesday evening, when he said, regardless of how this has happened, these missiles, it is all in due direction from Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Russia, of course, were then saying, oh, no, it's not us and all this kind of stuff. And then even the United States President Joe Biden said he believed it wasn't Russia. And it was then said it was Ukraine who fired down the missiles. Let's just get this right. Ukraine, if it is Ukraine that fired down these missiles, those missiles were put there by Putin nobody else. Okay, so this is a direct result of what has happened with Russia invading Ukraine. The United Nations gave a speech there, General on, sorry, the NATO Security General gave a speech on Wednesday. They're not going to do anything. They will continue doing what they're doing to help Ukraine. But even with what's happened now, where there's a threat of a major escalation, they're not doing anything further. So my own personal view is, what exactly does it take for NATO and President Biden and other world leaders to think to themselves, we need to do more to help the people of Ukraine? Okay, that's my own personal view. Nancy Pelosi has announced that she's stepping down as the leader of the Democrats. She'll also be stepping down as Speaker of the House of Representatives in January as well. She's not walking away completely from politics, but my own personal view, I think that things will be better off for people with someone that is a contention in that kind of a situation. Right, okay, and of course the World Cup is starting today. It's not a summer World Cup here in the United Kingdom and other parts of the world. Wishing England and Wales all the very best. That is it as far as I'm concerned regarding the World Cup. Nothing to do with any other reason. I just think the World Cup is better when it's in the summer. And I think at the moment there are other things going on in the world which are of more interest than the World Cup. But I will watch the game on Friday evening. Right, just going on to something now a little bit more on the on a positive front. This here is my father, Frank Shatliff.
Morning, Ben.
Good morning. And over the last few weeks, you may have seen, if you live in Prestwich or Whitefield or in Greater Manchester, online or various different things, you may have seen flyers which have been going in different places, and it's saying about one new toy Christmas appeal. What exactly is this all about?
Well, over the last 3 years, we introduced what I call a Prestwich Classic Commercial Road.
Right, okay.
And as part of that, we also help a charity. So what we did this year was help the Berry Veterans Hub with a donation. We produced all the programs, and whatever they made on the programs went straight to them. But at Christmas time, we also do this. This is the 3rd year we've done this. It's what I call a one new toy appeal for Wood Street Mission in Manchester.
Right, okay.
Wood Street have their own method of doing things, so they're calling an appeal, a Christmas appeal, which is it's all the same thing. But what we're looking for is people to donate not just a toy, but it could be anything. Age range from 0 to 14, could be anything really. Clothes, you've got to be new. And people say, well, hang on, why should it be new? Well, my simple philosophy on that is this, because, children who find themselves in a situation through no fault of their own, why should they settle for second best? Well, that shouldn't be the case. So that's why what we're asking for in that age bracket is for anybody to contribute or donate a present of some description. What we will collect on the 9th of December at Morrison's in Whitefield from 9 o'clock till 11:30, and then from Tesco in Prestwich from 10 to 12 till 3:15. And
Right.
Then we sort of go down there with everything we've collected, and hopefully it'll be a fair amount.
There's also other places as well that are acting as collection points. Oh, it's not just those two. There's also the St Margaret's Tavern in
Black and Liston, if you like.
Okay, so the St Margaret's Tavern. There's also other places.
Yeah, what we've done this year, we've introduced what we call collection points. Different pubs like the church, Tom Cribben and the Church Inn.
That's the Church Inn in Prestwich.
That's right. He's offered to be a collection point, so people can drop presents or whatever into the Church Institute, Church Inn.
Church Inn.
In
Church
Prestwich.
Institute is another place, but that's right. Not on the list, though, is it?
That's right. So it's a Church Inn, and then we've got Emma Bland from the Maggie's Prestwich.
St Margaret's Tavern.
That's right, who's doing the same thing. We've got the 8th Prestwich Scout Group on St Margaret's Road, who are doing the same thing. And I believe we've got St Margaret's School, primary school, are doing the same thing as well.
Right, okay.
So yeah, it's looking good. If everybody can, bring a toy, it'd be great.
A lot of these places also do other stuff as well, don't they? I mean, and I'll say this because I want to give some praise. That group there, the 8th Prestwich, were also very heavily involved in the Remembrance Sunday Parade, which we attended last Sunday. And they were there at different places selling poppies and getting the wreaths from and various different stuff. And last week, or different people may have wondered why I was wearing a specific badge, which is actually on there. And that is a badge that was done specially to think of Ukraine. And I got some of those myself to which is so respect. So they really have done a really good job. Now, people can go there now to these places, can't they?
You can go to all the pickup points we've mentioned and drop a toy off.
Okay.
Whether it be the church or Maggie's.
Right.
Obviously, they can't get in the crowd, or you can only get in this crowd scout group certain times of it.
Right, that's understandable. Do you know roughly how many toys were donated last year?
Well,
I know it was bigger than the year before. But
the figures we got for the first year was just around about 1,000, right? And then last year it was over 1,000.
Right, okay.
So this year we're hoping to exceed that. We've got other people on board who's going to help. So it's good. We've got one business called Red Fox who do maintenance in agriculture and stuff like that. When they sort of collect might be bits of scrap and everything else, they put it all at one side, and at the end of it all, they'll weigh it in, and whatever they get will use to go and buy a toy and donate it to this Wood Street charity.
Right, okay. So as it stands at the moment, and I know that some of it is already going to Wood Street, but are they making a note of how many of those toys are so that you'll then be able to know exactly how many toys?
But it's difficult to do that really, because at this time of the year, I mean, because of the cost of living crisis, and it's just not just this year. I mean, Wood Street's one of the oldest charities that is in Manchester.
Exactly, I know it's
So hardship is nothing new, but it's worse now than ever before. But there's always been people going to Wood Street or charities similar, and they always need the help. So we do a little bit. I'm really pleased the way it's turned out. And the most important thing about this is the people who are helping me to do this. And we've got some couple of three classic commercial vehicles. What be there on the day on the 9th, both at Morrison's and Tesco, where people will come and have a look. And one of them's been converted into a sleigh, and we're hoping to get that out on Thursday night, going around Prestwich, hopefully. And then it will create a nice Christmassy atmosphere. And at the same time, people can donate. Simple as that. We know it's going to be hard. People are struggling, but a lot of people are struggling. They turn to people like this to help.
The thing is, people might be struggling, but people can still find a way to go and enjoy themselves, can't they? And various different stuff like that, even though they might be struggling. So instead of going out having a drink, or I don't know, doing something, donate a toy. Simple as that.
Yeah, the thing is, we're not asking people to do anything over and above.
No, but I'm just saying that there are.
We certainly don't want people not to enjoy themselves at Christmas.
No.
But all that's what I'm saying is, in terms of I'm saying a new toy, but it doesn't have to be a new toy. It doesn't cost a lot of money. I mean, you can go in a place in Prestwich and buy a toy for about £1.50, and it's new and it's wrapped, and that is a toy, that is a present. So it doesn't cost a lot of money. Yeah. People might think, well, hang on a minute, a Lego of 20 quid. It doesn't have to be that. It's what you can afford to give, right? And the most important thing about all of this is what on Christmas Eve, when all our family will be grandkids will be tucked up in bed and everything else. And on Christmas Eve, we'll be thinking, well, tomorrow morning, because of our little team, little children
Indeed.
will be opening a present what we've helped to collect.
Indeed.
And that should bring a smile to the face. And it certainly brings a smile to mine because it's just nice. There are more good people out there than there are bad. And that's crucial bit.
And these are things that are being done by people on their own rather than, and obviously different organisations, but these are all being done by ordinary people that are doing things as well, which is very important.
Of course it is, yeah. I mean, I've been very lucky with some of the people I've met. And this is what I'd say. There's more good people out there.
Exactly. And when I wasn't meaning that people shouldn't enjoy themselves, by the way. I was just trying to raise the point is that people can. Some people will say, "Oh no, we can't do this, we can't do that," but then some people and then find themselves a luxury. Whereas there are ways and means in any kind of a situation to be able to try and help others, and there's always people a lot worse off than ourselves.
Absolutely.
And yeah, definitely, there's no ifs or buts about it. This is, of course, taking place in just a couple of weeks' time. So that's Friday, December 9th, and of course in Prestwich, Thursday, December 8th, with this sleigh going round.
God willing.
Yeah. Thankfully, this year is the first year, and I'm not tempting any fate either by saying this, but this is the first year where there's no restrictions or anything like that since 2019. So at least that's one good thing. No face coverings and all this stuff. People can enjoy themselves. So let's bring some light and some good to people, whether it's this or anything else, to share some positivity. From the darkness, there is always some light somewhere along the line. Next year, and I might be putting you on the spot just slightly here, but you've already mentioned about the commercial road run. Are you planning and hoping to try and do that again next year?
Good question, Ben. But the thing is, it's difficult to say at this stage, right? I mean, the last 2 years it's been on Tesco's car park, and Tesco have been absolutely brilliant. There's no question about that.
Okay.
Both the Tesco management in Prestwich and the community champion, Suzanne Dawn, and now it's Karen Bone, they've been absolutely brilliant. But you're actually restricted to what you could do in terms of the actual road run. Okay. I did apply to Bury Council through the Parks Department some time ago about actually trying to do it on St Mary's Park. Okay. But basically, I just got a flat refusal. Right. Simple as that. No, they didn't know anything about it. It was just turned down. And after running Prestwich Carnival for 7 years and making it a success, even though I say it myself, I mean, when I took it over, it was skint. But when I left it, it was financially secure. We had good contacts, and everything was absolutely hunky-dory. Right. So when I watched 18 months further down, when I wanted to try something else, and I thought St Mary's Park would have been the ideal location, I was absolutely shocked, really, to be turned down completely without any knowledge about the event or anything else. So to me, I don't know what it is. I don't know what these people are like. So in terms of next year, I have no idea. But I do know one thing, and it's this: the actual event itself creates a lot of interest, right? And one of the points I wanted to try and make is with some of these vehicles, particularly the British ones, there's lots of people in our society today who don't even know the British had a commercial vehicle manufacturing back in the day. But this shows what sort of vehicles were being made back then. We exported all around the world. Some of the biggest names at about 40 mile radius from where we live. So there's lots of things. Okay. So I don't actually know.
Right. Okay. Right. I asked the question. Right. Okay. Well, wishing all the very best for Friday, December 9th. And if you are out and about in Prestwich and Whitefield on that particular day, or even beforehand, we've already told you where these drop-off points are. If you follow my father, Frank Shatliff, on either Facebook or you are still on Twitter, aren't you?
Yeah, but not
been suddenly hounded down by Mr. Musk or anything like that. But But no, the details are on there, and they're also on various different Prestwich and Whitefield community Facebook pages as well. So there's plenty of different people getting involved. It's just doing something to try and help others during these tough times. There's no ifs or buts about it whatsoever. I just want to just kind of say something just before ending today. Now I'm going to go back 30 years ago to November 1992, and I was watching the BBC Children in Need programme. And at that stage, we were in a recession back then. It was a Conservative government, and times were hard for people, but they still had a 7-8 hour long telethon marathon. This year, I think they raised like 30, well, they raised over 30 million. I think it was like 35 or something like that. And it was only for 3 hours. So times were hard back then, and possibly harder for people, but they still did a long programme and still have regional content. So it's important to keep these events going, whether it's what's happening here with One New Toy, whether it's Children in Need or any other charities, Salvation Armies, whatever, because people are still there needing that help. And regardless of cost cuts or anything else, still put the same quality and quantity into these things, because otherwise people don't always find them as appealing as what they normally do. So you're still continuing doing this. If anything, it's getting bigger. Okay, it's only the third one, but still, it's it's keeping on going. So you should be very grateful.
We want to try and beat the 1,000, whatever it is.
Exactly. So that is indeed what it's all about. That is it for this week. Thank you very much indeed once again for coming in. Last time you came on, it was near Halloween talking about this, but if you've got speaker, this is doing something too. I'll just put this up just for a few moments there. The details are on there, and if you want any more information, you can look on Frank Shatliff's Facebook page. And also, there are some phone numbers, but they will also be available on the Facebook page as well. Right, okay, that is it for this week. Next week, it's the first weekend of Advent, and getting ready for Christmas. As I say, good luck to England and to Wales and to anybody else representing this country in any way, shape or form over the next 7 days or whenever. Until everybody comes on this programme again, for now, goodbye.